And we'd like to welcome to the stage Laurence Dell from PwC, and Laurence is going to take us through the key findings on the chapter we call Centre Performance. Welcome, Laurence.
Thank you. Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. Laurence Dell, I'm a partner at PwC, and I specialise in productivity improvement in the service and sales transformation space. So nice to see you all here today, and I also want to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands we are meeting on today and pay my respects. So I'm delighted to be able to take you through the contact centre performance chapter of the report this year, and please think about your own centre and how you may compare to some of these metrics as we go through them. I'm going to start by defining GOS and ASA, because being a management consultant, we get accused of using too many three-letter acronyms, TLAs, all the time, and I certainly got feedback from a very senior client a few months ago when I presented our findings on their centre and what they could do, and I led off with a whole bunch of recommendations based on AHT and FCR, and I'll tell you, after about 2 minutes of the opening, I got a lot of TLAs back from that client, just giving me some feedback to make sure that we're very clear on what these things are. So GOS, grade of service, is basically how many calls or interactions are answered within a specific time frame, and then ASA is the speed of answer on average across those calls coming in. So interestingly, on GOS performance, 55% of the respondents are not meeting GOS targets. So that's a pretty big miss. It's pretty material and pretty consistent. In terms of what is most common, the 80-30 and 80-20 are most common. So 80% taken within 30 seconds, or 80% of calls taken within 20. Now, is that right? Well, it's up to you. To get the GOS target, at that type of level requires investment and requires people to be there to handle calls. So some clients say their board wants their centre to answer within 2 rings. Well, that's fine, but the exponential cost of having people to take that spike in demand, to have that consistent GOS, is certainly a big investment. So, what's the right investment? How much do I invest in service to achieve a GOS target is probably the question you need to be considering in your own context. What's also important about GOS is not just the measure itself, but how frequently you're measuring it. Centres are dynamic by nature, and so a regular measurement of GOS is key. Let's have a look at ASA year on year. So looking at ASA, 20% improvement on year, and I've got some stats here in terms of the leaders and the laggards. So the leaders in the top quartile were achieving 25 seconds on average ASA. Now that's pretty fast. And then the laggards were around that 111. Now we've also got abandonment up, which has risen slightly year on year from 7 to 9%. Now why is abandonment going up? Could be a couple of reasons, perhaps because of that GOS not being achieved. So customers, there might be times where you're calling in the day and the GOS is bad, and so people are hanging up. Often people can also be multi-channeling. So I'm on the phone, on chat, and can resolve online and actually just abandon. Concluding here, I think this to sort of achieve what you're trying to achieve, to get this experience to best practice, it's about excellent workforce management and planning, and making sure you've got the team set up in the right way to take the calls as they come in. And questions our clients are asking are, should we go to team of teams? Do we multi-skill? Or do we stick on single skill with high volume demands and push those through? So interesting operating model questions about how you structure your teams to go and take calls to achieve excellent grade of service in ASA. This next page is in terms of the measures that people are looking at and what's most important. And I love this because up the top is customer feedback. And certainly I think it recognises a shift happening across the sector, that these interactions that our customers are having with all of us are the critical moments that matter. And so a shift from AHT and other sort of performance metrics into CSAT, I think is a really encouraging result. Interestingly, we did bring shrinkage as a new measure in this year, but that doesn't rate as important. Last year, GOS was number 1, and that's now slid to 6th position. Overall, getting a balance here is critical because we all know how interdependent all the measures are in a contact centre. Okay, so overall, out of everyone surveyed, 74 out of 100 was the CSAT result for all the centres. Interestingly, when we looked at the detail, 16% of centres were not seeking any customer feedback. So if you're one of the 16%, I'd probably encourage you to look at that and change that, because it is the closest connection point to the customer, and moving the dial a little bit on customer feedback will have a big impact on retention, sales, and overall experience for the brand. So let's have a look at sort of the spread of scores. 89 out of 100 for leaders. How many in the room would say their centre's operating around 80, 89%? Okay, I won't ask what everyone else is operating at then. But yeah, interestingly, some very good results there. Congratulations. You can come up later. Okay, centre performance. Let's roll on to this page, which this one I found, if I'm frank, a little bit concerning in terms of measuring performance and using data to help run the centre. And so when we look at these metrics, nearly 3 in 4 people who surveyed do not use performance metrics on a daily basis. And interestingly, when we help our clients drive performance improvement, we would typically see a 15 to 20% uplift in performance by just having the right measures measured daily, and that data being the basis of a performance conversation and coaching conversation. So I think there's a big gap there. Also a little concerning is that when that data is collected, more often than not, it's only shared one-on-one. And again, we typically would advise, when sharing and having these coaching conversations, this data should be shared across the team, should be transparent. We should be understanding why Laurence is doing 10 complaints a day and Jim's only doing 7. So in terms of some of the key findings, we've got 3 M's here. Wanted to keep it in a nice theme. So model, as I said, the structure, the span of skills, and the setup of teams is critical to make the most out of GOS and achieving your ASA targets. Secondly, make sure what you measure is the right measure for your strategy, that it's done daily, that it's transparently shared, and that those performance measures are there and available for everyone on a daily basis. So there's a quick summary, and happy to take some questions.
Thank you, Laurence. Definitely got some questions. Matthew asks, do you think there is a correlation with the abandonment rates going up with more and more people working from home?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. Look, I think definitely people are, less patient, and are happier to sort of get off, call back later at another time. So, yeah, perhaps that's underpinning that.
Luke asks, what research has been done in the industry to better understand customer tolerance of wait time before it actually detracts from CSAT? I guess that's the magic number.
Oh, that is the magic question, right? So how long can we make someone wait before they will hang up and they won't make a transaction? That is the Yeah, that is a question we're asked, and I think it requires a significant amount of analysis on sensitivity and the particular customers.
Because for the customer, they'd love to have zero wait time, wouldn't they? But then you've got an over-resourced
That's right.
contact centre. Steve's asked, do you think AB, and I'm not 100% sure what AB stands for, has climbed due to people at home tending to have less visibility to wallboards, etc., or peers and leaders reminding calls on hold, etc.? Did I?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to the point around daily metrics, how you're surfacing those metrics, your daily visual management boards, how you're having the conversations around those metrics on a daily basis, that is all the DNA of great team leadership, great empowerment of staff. So working from home, it's very hard to have that same level of interaction and coaching and then side conversation.
Chris has asked, what are your top suggestions to target a backlash in group coaching and certain agents feeling targeted by those results, if not one-on-one? Yeah,
I think that's important to set up that it's a learning culture and a continuous improvement culture. And we're seeing a greater movement towards team-based metrics. So it's about the team and how the team can learn from each other. And, I might have had a bad day, or I had a particularly unlucky run of type of people calling, which meant I've been on the phone a lot longer and being able to close fewer. We all have those days. So I think creating that right team environment where we're sharing that, learning from each other, that's a positive, as opposed to, I think setting up a culture of, pinpointing. So it's up to the team leader, I think, to do that in the right way.
And finishing on a lighter note, Paolo asks, we've had complaints for customers about our hold music. Is there an ideal song or album that the industry has been using?
God, I wish I
guess it might depend. Like if it's a superannuation fund, you might choose something that's slightly older. If it's,
Yeah, that's right.
All right. We'll leave it there. Ladies and gentlemen, please thank Laurence from PwC.